Katherine Heigl rose to the top very quickly. She jumped from making $300,000 per role to $6 million in just 1 year, all thanks to the massive box office success of Knocked Up. Probably because her rise happened so fast, her fall ended up being just as steep. Part of it was Heigl's own doing, as she started demanding half the budget of the small comedies she starred in. Today, let's take a look at Katherine's career path and see how an actress who was once one of Hollywood's highest paid stars quickly slipped into supporting roles in mediocre films and couldn't hold her spot at the top. Heigl started acting at a young age and quickly landed roles in several major films. A lot of people probably remember her from the action movie Under Siege 2: Dark Territory, where Steven Seagal protected her from various thugs. But since the sequel to Under Siege was a box office flop and got trashed by American critics, it didn't do anything to boost Heigl's career. After Under Siege, Heigl shifted to television, where she spent about 10 years starring in direct-to-video movies and various TV series. Sometimes she even showed up in straight-up trash, with ratings scraping the bottom of the barrel. One example is the 1998 horror movie Bug Buster. Fans of the Asylum films might enjoy that one. Still, she had a few small wins. Her movie Wish Upon a Star was really popular on home video in the 1990s. That one also starred Danielle Harris, who you might recognize from Bruce Willis's action flick The Last Boy Scout. Everything changed for Heigl after she landed a role in the TV series Grey's Anatomy. The show was a massive hit on American television. At its peak, it pulled in more than 20 million viewers. That's when Hollywood producers started to take notice of Heigl, though some luck was involved too. In 2006, Universal Pictures and Judd Apatow started working on a spin-off of The 40-Year-Old Virgin. That film, Apatow's directorial debut in 2005, had grossed $180 million worldwide on just a $26 million budget. It launched Steve Carell's career, and the studio didn't want to miss out on another payday, so they asked Apatow to create something new to keep the momentum going. Since Carell was blowing up and already tied to projects like Evan Almighty, the studio shifted focus to a spin-off starring Seth Rogen, who'd played a supporting role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. But when the script for Knocked Up was nearly done, Apatow decided to make it a standalone film instead of a direct continuation, and the studio backed him up. Originally, Anne Hathaway was cast as the female lead in Knocked Up. She was trying to break away from her sweet girl image that came from her success in The Princess Diaries, but Heigl got lucky. Hathaway and Apatow couldn't agree on the character. Hathaway wanted to tweak the role, but Apatow said no. Feeling that going from The Princess Diaries to a raunchy comedy was too much of a jump, Hathaway dropped out. The studio quickly held new auditions. Katherine Heigl showed up and won the part over another actress whose career was also struggling at the time, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Apatow went with Heigl. Knocked Up became a huge hit in the US, grossing $146 million at the box office on a $30 million budget. Internationally, it pulled in another $70 million. Riding that success, the studio thought about making a sequel, but Apatow didn't want to revisit the story, so it was shelved. The release of Knocked Up instantly launched both Seth Rogen's and Katherine Heigl's careers. But even though Rogen's star rose too, his fees never reached Heigl's level. On top of box office success, Knocked Up also made a killing on home video, $120 million in US DVD sales alone. Hollywood producers flooded Heigl with scripts. She earned $300,000 for her role in Knocked Up, but for her next movie, 27 Dresses, she asked for $6 million. That film also did great in the box office. Then came The Ugly Truth, another hit. Gerard Butler got $3 million for his role, Heigl got $6 million again. With a $38 million budget, the movie grossed $200 million worldwide. 3 hits in a row made her a superstar. In 2008 and 2009, she topped magazine lists of the most beautiful and desirable women in the world. MTV even gave her a nomination for Best Actress. While that award doesn't mean much in terms of acting quality, it does show how popular someone is with fans. For her next 2 movies, Heigl demanded $12 million each. Life as We Know It managed to keep its budget under control since there wasn't another big-name actor involved. Killers, on the other hand, was a different story. Life as We Know It had a $38 million budget and grossed $105 million. The movie wasn't a flop, but it also wasn't a home run. Josh Duhamel had high hopes for it too, but most of the films he starred in during that time either underperformed or tanked, and his career never took off. If the mediocre performance of Life as We Know It was a warning bell, the next action comedy, Killers, was a full-on red flag. This was Katherine Heigl's most expensive film to date. Ashton Kutcher, who played the male lead, earned half of what Heigl did. With a $75 million budget, Killers brought in only $98 million at the box office. The failure hit hard, and anyone else in Heigl's shoes might have reconsidered their approach to choosing roles, or even switched agents. But Katherine ignored the signs and demanded $15 million for her next project. On paper, One for the Money seemed like a sure thing. The plot was based on Janet Ivanovich's best-selling novel of the same name, hugely popular in the US. The director was Julianne Robinson, who had previously helmed The Last Song, an adaptation of a Nicholas Sparks novel that performed well in theaters and was generally well-liked by audiences. Heigl was even promised a $5 million pay bump for the sequel, which Lakeshore Entertainment planned to start right after One for the Money hit theaters. Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series now includes over 30 novels, all bestsellers. That means if the film had been a hit, Heigl could have secured work for years to come. Yet somehow, the movie, despite a $40 million budget, only brought in $36 million. It was crushed by a cheaper Liam Neeson movie, where he ran through the snow being chased by hungry wolves. Naturally, the studio immediately dropped all plans for 30 sequels. To make matters worse, Katherine Heigl was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award, something she'd managed to avoid until 2012. Up until then, she had mostly received positive recognition. She had earned multiple Screen Actors Guild Award nominations and received 2 Golden Globe nods. In 2008, she even won an Emmy for her work on Grey's Anatomy. The failure of One for the Money was a major blow to her career. As a next move, she decided to appear in a star-studded ensemble film, giving up her usual front and center spot on the poster. But even with a cast that included Robert De Niro, Susan Sarandon, Ben Barnes, and Diane Keaton, the film flopped at the box office. Worse yet, Heigl earned another Golden Raspberry nomination for her performance. The same year, the studio decided not to release Jackie and Ryan, starring Heigl, in theaters and sent it straight to home video. The industry began to write her off. In an effort to stay relevant, Heigl began publicly criticizing some of her past films, accusing them of sexism, especially Knocked Up and The Ugly Truth. That might have also played a role in her decline. While Judd Apatow, a powerful figure in Hollywood, publicly stated that he wasn't upset by Heigl's comments, he may have taken them personally. Later, Heigl did apologize for her harsh criticism, but the damage was done. It didn't help revive her career. After another flop, Home Sweet Hell, co-starring Patrick Wilson in 2014, and yet another Golden Raspberry nomination, Heigl transitioned to television. In an attempt to repair her image and stage a comeback, she starred in the TV series State of Affairs. Despite having a strong team of producers and directors, including Joe Carnahan, known for The Grey and Smokin' Aces, the show pulled poor ratings and was canceled after just 1 season. Following that, Heigl had no choice but to take on low-tier films. Some weren't even released in theaters, and the ones that did flopped despite their tiny budgets. Worst of all, she kept racking up Golden Raspberry nominations. In 2017, Heigl made another comeback attempt, starring in a legal drama series with a big-name cast. But the show failed to find an audience and was also canceled after just 1 season. In 2021, Heigl starred in yet another flop, Fear of Rain, which currently holds a 5.9 out of 10 rating. Maybe someday she'll return in a solid film, but the level of popularity she had in the late 1990s and early 2000s is probably out of reach now. Many believe Heigl's biggest issue wasn't even the role she picked, but the changes in her appearance after she turned 30. She quickly lost her adorable screen presence, and since she wasn't considered a standout acting talent, the public lost interest, and producers stopped offering her quality roles. At the peak of her career, she might have been able to lock in a long-term place in Hollywood, maybe by lowering her demands or stepping outside her usual typecast roles like Demi Moore or Julia Roberts successfully did. But Heigl chose the path of big paychecks, and unfortunately she wasn't able to sustain it. Well, at least she made some money. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.